We make probably around 1.5 million litres of beer a year. 6 different kinds of core range beer and then a bunch of different specialty beer here for the tap room. In terms of how we work with a circular economy, the biggest thing is the brew house. The hops and the yeast traditionally in a brewery will go down the drain. So we decant those into 1,000-litre drums and we send them off with the spent grain to a local organic compost farm, and they feed the spent grain to their beef cattle. It's also a very high nutrient, high nitrogen and a high value product in the composting system. We use a tremendous amount of hot water in our brewing process. And so we end up with like 95-degree, what's called wort, running off our brew house, ready to go into a fermentation tank. And if we then add yeast into that hot liquid, it'll just completely kill the yeast. So what we do is we actually run that hot liquid through a heat exchanger, and we run really cold water on the other side of the heat exchanger. The hot liquid, which we're going to use to turn into beer, and the cold water exchange heat. We end up with 60-degree water and 20-degree wort to pitch the yeast into, which is the perfect temperature. And we end up with hot water that we use in the next brew cycle. So we're recycling all of the heat that we're generating as well, which really minimizes the amount of gas that we've got to use to reheat water. Also, our refrigeration system is really cool. We've got 3 smaller motors, all on variable drives. So when we just need a little bit of refrigeration, one of them turns on like a quarter of the way. Or in the middle of summer when we need a lot of refrigeration, all 3 of them can ramp up to full volume. But because our refrigeration is all computer driven and the motors are controlled based on the demand, we're not turning a massive engine on every time we need a little bit of cooling. Refrigeration is the biggest energy user in the entire brewery. It was significantly higher in capital expenditure when we put it in, but we could see over about a 3-year period that it would come back to us in electricity. If we can minimize our use as much as possible and then reuse any waste product, that's really what we're shooting towards in trying to close our waste in the brew house cycle and across our entire production operation here at Dairy Road.